Good morning, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo, and the rest of the world. You've tuned in to the Mac City Morning Show. I am your host, Elliot Pierre, and as per usual, we're going to start this show off the same way we start every episode off, with a moment of gratitude. I know you could be doing a million other things with your time, so the fact that you spend it with us truly does mean the world to me, so thank you. On that note, Tanner, hit him with the intro.
Hey everybody, Keith Simpson here from NAABA. Just a quick chat about the wonderful community we live in here. As you guys know, we support the Oil Barons. We've joined the drive-in movie theater. We're involved in the marathon here in Fort McMurray, and make sure we're taking care of the kids and all the local businesses, all the local charities, and all the local foundations, guys. That's what makes this community such an amazing place to live.
All right, and we are back. Big shout out to Noral Toyota, Keith Fad Nimmer, all the boys and girls down at Noral for sponsoring the show. Really do appreciate it. You keep the lights on, so thank you. As you can see, we're not on the set of the Mac City Morning Show. We are at the NAABA facility in downtown Fort McMurray. They are the sponsor for the Mac City Minute today, and they are hosting us. We have a very special guest, and as you know, I don't introduce my guests because they can do a better job at that than myself. So on that note, can you please tell everybody at home who you are and what you're about?
Well, my name is Michelle Toner, and I am currently the Executive Director of NAABA, the Northeastern Alberta Aboriginal Business Association, for those who might not know it. What am I about? A lot of things. I'm a wife, a mom. I like to consider myself an athlete, maybe, not as in shape as I once was.
Right.
Huskies fan, but yeah, lots of different things.
Your kids are so big. Like, I was shocked as we bumped into each other last week at Boston Pizza.
Yeah.
And I remember,
shout out to Victor.
My gosh, I remember when your kids were, I remember when Sean Patrick was born. And then this kid is almost as tall as me now. Like, I was shocked when you guys walked into the restaurant. I was shocked to see how tall and grown up your children are.
Yeah, I got an email from the school last week talking about Ryan's transition to junior high. Oh, and I was like, wow, how did that happen? We're sharing shoes. She's 11 and we share shoes. So yeah, they're growing fast.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
And it happens to me with my little boy Keegs. But I remember we were at Cornfest one year. And all these kids were upstairs. Keegan was just a little baby and they were playing with Legos and things, and I was like, oh. And then when you guys came in, I'm like, nobody's playing with Legos here anymore.
Yeah. Still some Shopkins once in a while, but they definitely they have their own personalities. They definitely both have great sense of humor. But they're growing fast.
Yeah, really fast. Yeah. Unbelievable. So in regards to NAABA though, because not a lot of people know about this facility and what it offers, what you can do with it. There's a lot of people here that we've met just today. Can you please just explain to everybody watching like what this facility is, how it can be utilized for not just NAABA, but for other community members that might be interested in it? Yeah,
for sure. So I joined NAABA in late February 2020.
Right.
3 weeks before our first big event, funny enough, which is coming up as well again, NAABA Showcase. And on the second day of our event, we actually got shut down because of COVID. Then we went into working from home. At the time, this office was just under construction.
Right.
So NAABA had never really owned its own business or had its own headquarters that solely belonged to them. And when I joined the organization, we actually were working out of the Willowboro and Primoris offices. So a great space, but not our own.
Right.
So nearing the end of construction, June 2020, I was able to start working from this facility. It's a beautiful space. I feel so fortunate and so grateful to come here every day. But we have not really been able to welcome our NAABA members to the facility or the community for that matter. We're hoping to be finally, now that restrictions are being lifted, be able to welcome people into the office. So.
Right.
A couple of different spaces. We have the Tuckero Executive Boardroom, of course, named from Tuckero Group, one of our founders, Dave Tuckero, amazing man. And where we host our board meetings for NAABA as an organization, but also is a space that our NAABA members can come. They can book the boardroom and have that facility as a place if they need to have off-site meetings, if they don't want to meet in their offices or they don't want to meet on site, kind of a neutral location for them to be able to use. So great space. Now that we are returning to in-person events, we see it as a space that really will be for training and seminars, networking events, things like that. We also have 2 incubator offices that are sponsored by Syncrude.
Okay.
And during our first, 2 years in the office, our partners from the Mikisew Cree First Nation Government and Industry Relations and Health Branch were here. Unfortunately, their offices had flooded during the 2020 flood. They needed a space to live for a little bit. So it was great to have some company here in the office.
Yeah.
Now we have a NAABA member, Saskana, is in one of the offices, and also the Chard Métis Dene just joined us as well.
Okay.
As well as TJ's Group, which is another one of our members. So offices are full.
That's awesome.
Just welcomed a new staff member as well, which is awesome. And then we also have the Boucher Think Tank. So this is a smaller space where people can come in. There's a huge yellow wall in there. It's actually a whiteboard.
Right.
Where people can come in and just have a space where they're getting, if they're running their business from home or if they're running their business on site and they just need to get out and have a new context or a new lens through which to see things, brainstorm, smaller meeting space, we have that available. The area that we're sitting in is sponsored by Suncor. It's the Community Enterprise Center. We really see this area as a place where people can come, grab a coffee, just have a connection. People want to meet up. Eventually, we hope to have the other area a little bit more of a park and play, if you will, for devices where people, you need to come in, you need a space to do a little bit of work, maybe you need to print something, on a kind of a mobile office, right? Recognizing that the last 2 years has taught us anything, that being stationary is not necessarily a requirement anymore.
That's right.
And that people really want to have that flexible workspace. So we are looking to be a support to our members to be able to have that flexible workspace if they needed to drop in for a couple of hours, they needed a space. Lots of times we have people taking virtual calls here. They were at a meeting, they're taking a virtual call, they don't want to be in their car.
That's right.
A great backdrop for any of that.
Yeah.
So that's what we are. That's where we are right now.
Very cool. And you have events coming up as well. So what's the newest, not the newest, the event coming up first? What's coming up first?
The first event. So coming up on April 6th and 7th is the NAABA. It's the 15th annual Aboriginal Business Showcase.
Right.
So it was always an in-person event. Last year we did have to pivot to a virtual event, which was a huge success. It was a 2-day event. This year, I said, because I like to make things difficult for myself, we're going to have a full virtual day of learning and then a full day of in-person events. And I think as much great feedback as we got last year from the virtual event, that desire to come together as a community and have that face-to-face exchange of energy and that connection with one another, that desire is really there. So day 1, April 6th, fully online. You can log in from anywhere across the world.
Right.
We have a full lineup of sessions being headed off by Carol Ann Hilton from the Indigenomics Institute.
Okay.
So very popular speaker, great insight for anybody who's looking to join us. On the second day, we will have some member-to-member activities where our full members and our associate members are networking. We have a trade show of our full Aboriginal members. There is a networking luncheon. There are some sessions during the day. And then the evening, we have a cocktail reception followed by a banquet, which will have traditional Indigenous performances, and then also a keynote by the presenting sponsor, Suncor, regarding some of the things that are happening with the Syncrude Suncor integration and business development in the future. And then something I'm really excited about is we have representatives from MNP and ATB as well. They'll be joining 2 other women, Jamie Harp, who is the NAABA president, and Rebecca Craigness from Bird. The conversation will be facilitated by Nicole Boucher of the Boucher Group. And what we're going to be talking about is a recent study that was released talking about the economic contributions of Indigenous people in Alberta.
Huge. Huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to further those contributions by supporting Indigenous entrepreneurs and what that looks like.
Right.
So having a non-Indigenous company up there, but their Indigenous representative, really speaking on what does that look like? How do businesses support Indigenous businesses to be able to succeed? And I think here in our region, it's very focused on oil and gas,
Right.
but there is so much opportunity for Indigenous businesses to grow in every different area, not just oil and gas. So yeah, it should be a great conversation.
And how do you register for that?
So you can, there's a couple of ways that you can access the event website. We have a separate event website. It's not as easy to remember as our NAABA site.
Right.
So if you go to NAABA.ca, it will lead you to our Feed Loop, is the virtual platform, and where we're selling our tickets. So go to NAABA.ca to look for the showcase information. You can buy just a virtual ticket if you're from out of town. You can buy just an in-person ticket. You can buy both days, and then the banquet would be a separate ticket on there. But yeah, everything is all on the website for people to buy.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Now, listen, Tanner hit me up a little while ago with a cue that he's ready with his questions for the Mac City Minute.
Love it.
You've heard about it. I know you know the drill.
I do.
Big thank you to yourself and NAABA for sponsoring this segment. I do appreciate it. Tanner, hit her with the Mac City Minute.
Alrighty, question number 1. What is your favorite part of being able to see NAABA grow so fast in your time working here?
You know, I was having conversations about this morning, and I was talking about a previous job that I had been in, and you know, having left that job that I was at for a very long time, and then being in this new situation, there is a whole world out there of business and culture and interactions that I really knew nothing about. And really being afforded the opportunity to be involved in those conversations, learning about our traditional culture, and then seeing how, by elevating the voices of our Indigenous entrepreneurs, what the impacts are in our community and to all people. It really is a special experience that I don't think a lot of people get to have, and that I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, no doubt.
Question number 2. What is one thing you think people would be surprised to find out NAABA does?
Wow.
Tanner with the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I would hope that if there's something that people don't know that NAABA does, it's because we actually don't do it.
Right.
And so, like, I would want them to tell me, like, hey, you should be doing this.
Yeah.
What is something that we do? God, that people don't know that we do. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe the advocacy on a policy level. A lot of the work that I've been doing since starting with the organization has been with our regional municipality of Wood Buffalo.
Okay.
So a couple of years ago, our mayor at the time, Don Scott, had made a call to the provincial and federal government to have 5% of all spending be allocated to Indigenous business. Now, the federal government has that policy in place. The provincial government does not. But our own municipal government did not have a policy in place. There was no Indigenous procurement policy in place. So we were having some conversations with CAO Doyle and Mayor Scott at the time, and it's just progressed then. So now there's a task force, a working group that's really working on bringing that policy to fruition. They actually will be presenting at the NAABA Showcase on the developments of the policy, and it really has come a long way. So I guess I would say advocacy from a policy perspective, maybe something that's not as obvious as some of the other networking and educational things that we do.
Right, there you go.
And your final question. What is the most rewarding aspect of being part of a place that supports the community like NAABA does?
Wow, what's the most rewarding part? I think it's seeing the impact that it has in people's everyday life and the difference it really can make. And when people feel supported and they feel heard and they feel seen, it really makes a difference in their life. And if I can do anything at any time to try and provide that avenue or that mechanism for people to feel that way, I think that's amazing. I don't know what else you could ask for.
And those have been your questions.
Thank you.
There you go, killing it. So at the top of the show, you mentioned that you still are an athlete. Mm-hmm. What kind of sports are we, what are we still playing?
Well, I still play volleyball. I play in the Women's Competitive Volleyball League on Tuesday nights.
Okay.
I'll say, like, old gray mare ain't what she used to be.
Yeah.
You know, like, Wednesdays are a tough go. I normally go to bed at like 8:45. I don't get home from volleyball until after 10.
Yeah.
It takes me some time to wind down. But yeah, so I play basketball and volleyball as a youth, I guess we'll say.
Yeah.
But still play volleyball today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you finding, because we've had some sports organizations come on the show as of late, they're kind of struggling with attendance and like getting people to come. Are you finding that with volleyball? Are you still having a solid crew?
No, we struggled. We struggled, I think, as a league this year, but a lot of it related to vaccine passports and vaccine mandates.
Oh.
Right. So you had to have had both of those things to be able to participate or have a COVID test. So those rules kind of implemented. I will say, so I hadn't played in a few years, came back this year. I think, so the rules were relaxed a little bit this year in the league, and that before, like if you were on a team, you only played on that team, and if you were a spare, you were only spare for that team.
Okay.
And so this year, because of the reduced numbers, it was, okay, well, hey, can you play on my team tonight? I'll play on your team tonight. It's really allowed there to be like a calming down of like the nastiness. Like it used to be rough. Like people be yelling at each other through the net and like kind of snarky. And I really feel like there's an increased camaraderie now that people have been playing on one another's teams and actually getting to know each other.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, when you're an adult playing in these leagues, like you're not making the professionals, you're doing it recreationally for fun.
Right.
So, and to meet people. So that would make sense if you were able to like
but it's
jump back and
competitive.
forth. I'm
there's
fully
no messing
aware.
around.
Yeah.
There's no messing around. Yeah.
Yeah, there's I have some friends that play hockey. And I'm getting older, they're getting older, and like they go and they lose teeth and they break bones, and I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, it's real. And when it's playoff time, like it's serious business.
Yeah. Well, there's some, like a lot of the girls on my team, most of them played for the Keanu Huskies.
Right.
But they're all probably 6 to 8 years younger than I am.
Okay.
So sometimes we'll be playing, they're like, go! I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
Breaking a hip's really expensive for me. I can't afford to be off work.
Right.
So like, we're gonna let this one fly.
That's hilarious.
We're gonna get it back on the next one.
Yeah.
Like, sorry guys, like my overhand serve, it's weak these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still good to be out there though.
Oh, absolutely. It's so good for it's good for my head.
Yeah.
As much as it's good for my body,
That's
even though my body would say other words on the Wednesday.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Michelle, that's the end of the show. Thank you very much for
having
coming.
me.
It's been a lot of fun. But before I let anybody go, you get a shameless shout out or plug. So you got the mics, the camera, lights. Have fun.
Awesome. Well, I would like to invite everybody to attend the NAABA Showcase. It is an event that's open to the public. There are some amazing opportunities to really learn, to understand the capacity of the Indigenous entrepreneurs in this region, and even beyond business to understand a lot of what's happening in our community in terms of culture and reconciliation and really understanding the truth. So I would really encourage people to go to our website, naaba.ca, to see what events we're having in the future, but also to register for this one. Being that there is a virtual aspect, if you're uncomfortable in the conversation, you're in the safety of your own home.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity. $39 for the day. Really reasonable, and some great speakers that not everybody would normally get access to. So, we really encourage people to come out to join the event, stop by, meet our business owners, learn what they're doing in the community. So April 6th and 7th, and our website is naaba.ca.
There we go. Awesome. Well, for McMurray, Wood Buffalo, the rest of the world, that's been another episode of the Mac City Morning Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. It does mean the world to me. And big shout out to our title sponsor, Toyota, for keeping this thing going, as well as NAABA for sponsoring the Mac City Minute. I hope everybody's having a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
What a deadly old way to end another morning show. Later, boys.
It's so ballistic!
Talk about quenching your ugly thirst.